Good morning. Wow. There are more people here than in my entire town. So take it kind of easy on me. So this may look like a thick board, but if you look closer, I hope it's a big part of the future of my town and towns like mine across the Pacific Northwest. The economy in places like where I live used to be almost entirely logging and lumber mills. Back when I was growing up there were 300 Forest Service employees and jobs in the Darrington Ranger District. Today there are 16. The schools were full of kids like me whose parents worked in the woods. My family roots go back to 1920 when my grandfather arrived in the area, and we love this place. Over the decades, we have worked hard to be good stewards. There's still a lot of old growth right around Darrington. It's because the community, people like my dad, rangers, decided to leave it. They thought it was beautiful. They understood it mattered. It mattered to the watershed. It mattered to the salmon, and it mattered to this place. Rules and regulations are necessary, but in my experience, the deep care comes from the people that look after this place and truly love. Regardless, by the mid-1990s, big changes in supply and practices and the requirements, logging slowed to a trickle. That's when towns like mine started to decline. Our jobs shrank or just plain disappeared. Our kids started leaving for college and not coming back. The fabric of our little community started to tear. This wood, called cross-laminated timber, isn't going to solve all of that, but we think it can make a real difference. It's made from small trees, 20 to 30 years old, the kind you take down in a thinning project. There are a lot of small wood, there's a lot of small wood out there growing and filling in since the 1990s. Researchers at the UW and WSU tell us that thinning out these small trees can reduce fire danger and improve the forest health. And it can breathe new life into a place like Darrington. Making CLT, you mill these trees into little flat layers and then glue them together and crisscross one upon another. The result is a building material with remarkable properties. First, it's strong, very strong. In fact, people in other parts of the world are building skyscrapers from it. This stuff's tough, extremely fire resistant, and scientists say that CLT could be less carbon intensive than other building materials. People love it because it's beautiful. In a minute, Susan Jones will go into that aspect, but getting the CLT industry up and running in this state won't be easy. There's research and education to be done to ensure we do this sustainably, and also a lot of infrastructure to be built. You need a whole new kind of mill. Forterra has been leading the way, pulling all of us together, including working in Olympia and with our federal delegation. I really appreciate Forterra. They know how to listen, and they get things done. They see that to secure these keystone places are working for us. We've got to get people out there responsibly earning a living. It will be good for people in rural Washington, and it will be good for the people in the cities where this beautiful material is destined. When this succeeds, our whole Pacific Northwest wins. I now have the pleasure to introduce a friend I've made working on CLT, the architect, Susan Jones.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. Working with Dan over the last 2 years has completely inspired me with his boundless commitment and his resiliency. He is too modest to mention it, but as the mayor of Darrington, he led his community through one of the worst natural disasters our region has ever witnessed, the Oso landslide. And now he's continuing the fight for his community, and for all of it, Dan, thank you. I have the joy of being one of the first architects in Seattle to work with cross-laminated timber. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit why I love working with it. In my own small way, my family once was in forestry. I wouldn't say we were successful. When I was a child, my grandfather bought land up on top of Mount Constitution, the highest point in the San Juan Islands on Orcas. The land had been logged, and to regenerate it, he planted fir, pine, and spruce trees. And then he left it alone to grow. And we really did leave it alone. For decades later, when we checked back, we were shocked to find there was nothing but small hemlock trees there. It was not even planted, but it had outcompeted everything else. This taught me a lot, that young forests need responsible care and thinning. But what do you do with the trees that you thin? So as an architect committed to green building and minimal waste, this is a question that monopolized my brain for quite a while. And I thought of cross-laminated timber, which I had encountered as a young architect in Austria. CLT is remarkable. It's been used in Europe for 30 years. CLT buildings, tall timber buildings, can go up to 18 to 20 stories or even higher. Here's one such tall CLT building that's been proposed for Stockholm. It's so tall that New York Magazine had to put it on its side. Wouldn't it be phenomenal to have something like this here in Washington State? But to get here, we're going to need new modern mills to fabricate the big CLT panels. And guess what? That means even more jobs in towns like Dan's. We'll even be able to create modular pieces of CLT that you can assemble like Legos. And right at the mill, you'll be able to cut out apertures for doors and windows with the potential for stunning spaces and light. So to really understand the material, I decided to build my own house from cross-laminated timber. And now every day, I wake up surrounded by the scent and the touch of natural wood, with its beautiful grain, textures, and tones. It really needs nothing else. I love how Forterra gets that securing our working forests depends on creating new livelihoods on the land, on the dirt. And I love the care that they and all their partners are taking to make sure it gets done right. That the forests are sustainably managed, that we truly understand how much CO2 is being sequestered, that there's a market, and that we think about all the safety, structural, and building code questions deeply. Forterra has been masterful at organizing and engaging this incredibly diverse coalition needed to take this complex strategy forward. There's probably no other entity that has the connections and the trust to make this happen. I'm so excited at the prospects, and until I can build tall, well, I'll continue to build, well, not really small, but things like this. The Bellevue First Congregational Church. We finished it almost exactly a year ago. It has a 30-foot high tall CLT wall, which is almost twice as high as this wall. And the organist says that the acoustics are great, which makes me very, very happy. The best part, though, is just sitting down quietly as the soft light streams down. I know that CLT can become another signature of sustainability for our region. After all, what are the kinds of buildings can you literally grow from a handful of seeds? Thank you very much.